Hey, your girl a feminist, my girl traditional. Hey, your girl a feminist, my girl traditional. My girl conservative, your girl a liberal. Your girl got OnlyFans, my girl ain't sending news. Your girl can't cook, my girl can do it in the kitchen too. Hey, this one for the homemade. Too.
Mic check,
Hey,
mic
this
check.
one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dancing through a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite song. You providing that work, cause she take care of the home. And she homeschooling, teaching your children what's right or wrong. Instead of letting the government turn them into clones. Hey, two parents working and who raising the children. Indoctrination programs is where you choosing to send them. And I know it's not on purpose, but let's look at it different. And please think about it first before you get in your feelings. Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? They the culture changers. They the culture makers. She the queen, she the teacher, she the chef and baker. When you do it God's way, then he gon' show you favor. Hey, Proverbs 31:30 type of woman. First Timothy 2:9 type of woman. She not a Jezebel. You see those that start running God way of the highway. That's just how we coming. Hey, yo, girl,
That is Bryson Gray, Homemakers. The mic situation is going to be rough. What's up, Toy Mafia? Let me know if the mic is working well. I really need the mic check this time. I don't have headphones, so I have no idea if I'm too close to the mic, too far away, how the volume sounds. I literally have to go back to the live feed, which I will do. Thanks for joining. Got a big topic. This TikTok banning thing, I hate to say it, it's another psyop. I just hate to say it. I don't want to come across as everything being a psyop. That's my concern. But if it is, it is what it is. And I'm going to go directly to this bill. It's a joke. And I was reading a lot of it this weekend, seeing reactions to it because it never rubbed me the right way that they're going after TikTok. But we got problems at home too. And if you're going to do a TikTok bill, it would be pretty short, right? It would just say, let's ban TikTok. What else do you need to say on the bill? You might have some underlining fundamental things that have to apply to more than just TikTok. But really, couldn't you just say we're banning the TikTok and move on? Yeah, let's take a look at the bill. They did more than that. It's very concerning. The bill is very concerning. And it's disappointing to see. I think Josh Hawley is supporting this. Not good. Not good, Joshua. I'm going to need to see better from you. So let's kick off with that. We'll start with that. My first thing, what I did this weekend and last couple days is just Google. Again, let me know if the mic's going. It's hard. I can't listen to it while I talk. So appreciate you tuning in. This is a big one for me, this topic of this bill. What I did first was just Google it. Let me share my screen. Whoops, let me share it, and then I'm going to show you what I found in Google, in Googling this thing. So I'm sharing my screen right now, and I'm just going to do a quick Google search, and then, because I'm like, okay, how are they banning it? I didn't even know it was under the Restrict Act. So I'm showing it here, Restrict Act, TikTok. So I just Googled Restrict Act TikTok. That's all I Googled. And the first thing that comes up, because Google controls this, so my concern is not just with TikTok, it's with all social media companies. Google, Alphabet, obviously, this is through Google search. They obviously control the search engine. If they are happy with the bill, the results will show that. That's the world we're in right now. If Google was not happy with this bill, they would be highlighting articles and headlines that weren't happy with this bill. The first headline that pops up is from The Guardian. It says, White House very in favor of bill thought to target TikTok. The first thing, this doesn't prove anything by itself, but what it does say is,
spider sense start tingling.
If your spidey sense is not tingling, when I search Restrict Act TikTok and the first result from a company, Google, who's a competitor through YouTube Shorts, YouTube Shorts is trash compared to TikTok. They would obviously be happy to see their competitor bye-bye. So now you look at the results, Google is very happy with this. They're elated with it. You see it in the search results. White House very in favor of bill thought. And then also on top of that, the White House, what bill through Biden's whole term do you agree with that he's passed? I mean, there's a lot of minor bills that aren't really big. I think the biggest bill that I might agree with, and I still don't even know if I fully agree with it, was the CHIPS. I think it was called the CHIPS Act, which I think we should be manufacturing everything here and working towards that. My only hesitation was, is it rewarding woke companies for being woke? But in general, I believe I agreed with the idea of that bill of producing these semiconductor chips here so we don't have to rely on Taiwan as much. It's probably the only bill I can think of that I flat out pretty much agreed with from Biden. And even then, I don't know. I didn't dig into that bill. So the White House is in favor of the bill. Another
Spider sense start tingling.
So keep looking down. Bipartisan Restrict Act bill supported by Biden might ban the TikTok app. What do you mean might ban? Isn't that the whole point of this? I'm not for a TikTok ban. But it's just, so I'm looking at it and I'm like, something don't smell right. I should have that as a drop too. Something ain't right. So then I look at this and then I'm like, wait a second. Jake Sullivan made a statement on the Restrict Act. And not only did that, Jake Sullivan agrees with it. And now really it's like, okay. Jake Sullivan made a statement. We applaud the bipartisan group of senators led by Warner and Thune, who today introduced the Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology Restrict Act. Of course, they have to put everything in this pretty package. The Inflation Act had nothing to do with inflation. The Restrict Act, I think it actually does have something to do with restricting, but not in the way you might want it to. Jake Sullivan agrees with the Restrict Act. This is the same Jake Sullivan, same guy who it just pushed the lie going back to the Hillary C and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but Jake Sullivan does not have any type of good credibility or goodwill with me. Jake Sullivan is the one that did the statement. Remember the statement exposing Trump's secret line of communication in Russia, promoting Russiagate. So Jake Sullivan agrees with this bill. Okay, let's dig a little bit further. This is via a Libertarian Party. This is what I want to see from you, Mises Caucus. I don't want to see you going after Jack Posobiec when you don't have the moral high ground. Don't do that. I don't want to see adjacent Mises Caucus people like Maj Touré playing the race and identity card. I don't want to see that. This is why I signed up for the Libertarian Party right here, for excellent tweets like this and just to get the message out. So Mises Caucus is tweeting. How's the audio? Anybody in here? Let me know if the audio's over. Let me stall for a second and listen to the audio real quick. Yeah, it's gonna sound like I'm in a like a echo chamber basically, but it sounds like it's decent enough to listen to. Here's the Mises Caucus. They went through the bill. I went through the bill too, and these are basically the points that I saw. Might have a little bit slight disagreement on interpretation, but this is basically what I'm seeing. So thank you to the Mises Caucus. I'm going to use them for reference. If you don't know, Mises Caucus is the wing. It was like the MAGA wing of the Libertarian Party. I'll digress for a second. The Mises Caucus was the MAGA. Basically, I compare them to the MAGA wing and Michael Heiss as Steve Bannon, leading a MAGA wing within the Libertarian Party to make it more based and more about liberty. That's what that was. And the Mises Caucus basically took over the Libertarian Party, got all their people in charge. They're not the main Libertarian Party account, but now you got Comic Dave Smith, Angela McArdle, and all of them are taking over. So that's what the Mises Caucus is. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and holler at them. They're the reason why I signed up for the Libertarian Party. Stuff like this. The Restrict Act is not limited to just TikTok. It gives the government authority over all forms of communication, domestic or abroad, and grants powers to enforce any mitigation measure to address any risk to national security now and in any potential future transaction. This is insanity. So here's the bill here. And when you look at it, they word it kind of funny, but I agree with the interpretation here. And I added, of course, what does that do? But Thomas Massey, anybody, Josh Hawley, explain to me where the interpretation might be wrong here. Review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries and for other purposes. This is very vague and generic. And for other purposes. In general, the Secretary, in consultation with the relevant executive department and agency heads, is authorized to and shall take action to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate, including by negotiating, entering into, or imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure. What does that mean? Any is, it doesn't get more vague than any. Basically, like social media companies say, we can ban you for any reason we want. You don't need any other terms of service other than that. That's the terms of service. So this is the government's version of the social media contract. We can enforce any mitigation measure. I don't even understand what that means. Like, do they understand there's a constitution? It doesn't even sound like it. Any measure, this is the Digital Patriot Act. Any mitigation measure to address any risk. What? Can you imagine writing up terms of an agreement saying, I can take any mitigation risk against you for any reason I want? Where are the limitations here? Any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines. We need limitations, y'all. We need boundaries. Timing. This is from the bill. Timing. The term covered transaction includes a current, past, or potential future transaction. So they can go to the past? For what? For anything? For any mitigation? For any transaction? We're talking about digital stuff. And we know these are the same people who labeled parents as terrorists, who were concerned about the curriculum in the classroom. And you're going to let them say that they can go do anything for any reason, for any transaction? Does that seem smart? I'm baffled by this verbiage in here. It's extremely concerning. Mises Caucus goes on to say, so what happens if you're designated a national security threat? Like the parents who are concerned, they were designated. Remember, that did happen. A lot of things happen in our country and we kind of forget and we move on, including myself. So what happens if you are designated a national security threat? Can they access anything of yours to confirm it? What can they access? Everything. Notice the preemptive attack on quantum encryption in there too. They're worried about this quantum encryption, which basically just would be good for people because you would have more control, more protection. Any software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to telecommunication products and services, including, this is what they can go ahead and look into, your local LAN, mobile networks, satellite payload, satellite operations and control, cable access points, wireless access ports, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, edge computer platforms. These are I'm just listing here, what can the government access of yours to confirm if they think you are a national security threat? Obviously, if I say Joe Biden is an incompetent fool, I can be labeled as a national security threat by these same people. That's a hypothetical. Allegedly. Moving along, cloud-based distributed computing data storage, internet hosting services, machine learning, predictive analytics, and data science products and services, managed service, and content delivery services. Guys, all we needed was a bill. Well, I don't want to say all like it was simple. It's not simple. All we needed as a bill was something to say, something to protect the digital rights. Trump had the speech on it. Remember the same day he did those asinine NFT things? That same day he actually had a real speech on digital rights, which that asshat, permission to speak freely, Mr. President. You and your people, you asshats, did it on the same day you did that stupid ass NFT. That's when I was out on Trump. Still am because of that. Just stupid decision. You did that NFT, but then he dropped that digital rights, which was actually based and really good, and nobody heard it. Nobody listened to it. And he's actually been the best candidate. No candidate, including Dave Smith. I mean, he hasn't run. I mean, Dave Smith has not announced, but no candidate has come out with a more comprehensive digital rights platform than Donald Trump. And nobody heard it. And that's what we needed with this, is that type of thing, not this type of thing, where the government's basically coming out here with more power, more force, just frightening stuff, to be honest. Going on, continuing, I'm going to continue with the Mises Caucus tweet and then go on from there. It also allows the Director of National Intelligence and Secretary of Commerce the authority to universally designate new foreign adversaries without notifying Congress and a 15-day window to notify the president. The president's the boss. The president's the boss of these people. It's a document to give the administrative state more power. Can you imagine the people that work for you trying to say, hey, I don't have to tell you something for 15 days. Now they're trying to pass it through the legislative process, and they're fooling, in my opinion, many conservatives, many people in MAGA. What the hell does this have to do with banning TikTok? This is it, and it's the definition of a legislative Trojan horse like they've always done. Brandon Rudder, thanks for joining, even with the rough setup here. It'll be rough until probably Wednesday. Brandon Rudder says with a comment, and I'm sure with that access they won't, insert anything themselves. Don't be crazy. Yeah. Like they did with, see, that's why it's concerning what they did with Trump. People are like, oh, some people who don't like Trump, even with Russiagate, they're like, oh, why do you care about Trump? You do realize everything they do with Trump, they did it with the J6ers. They did it with Alex Jones. They would do it with you. Russiagate was fake. Labeling concerned parents, one parent whose child got accosted by a trans person in a bathroom. Obviously, the father was upset. He got deemed, labeled whatever, labeled domestic terrorist, smeared in the media. They will do the same thing to you. And going down to this, they have the parts in the bill. Designation, the secretary may, in consultation with the director of the national intelligence, designate any foreign government or regime as a foreign adversary if the secretary finds that the foreign government or regime is engaged in a long-term pattern or serious instances of conduct significantly adverse to the national security of the United States or security and safety of the United States person. When they say national security, they hide everything behind that. That's exactly what they did with the Patriot Act. It was supposed to be national security, supposed to protect domestically U.S. citizens from foreign actors. And what happened? That's what got used against Don Dada, Grandpappy, is basically the Patriot Act. Keep listening to this. They're immune. Wait till you hear this. They're actually immune from FOIA requests as well. They don't like those pesky FOIA requests. Moving along with this. Definition. In this section, the term covered joint resolution means a joint resolution of disapproval or designation, or joint resolution of disapproval of removal of designation. The term disapproval of designation means a joint resolution of the matter after the resolving clause of which is as follows: that Congress disapproves the designation by the Secretary of Commerce of as a whoever the body is, as a foreign adversary for purposes of securing the Information and Communications Technology and Services Supply Chain Act of 2023. And this is where you have to go back and you have to go back to these other acts and figure out what are they talking about. Very hard to follow this stuff. Secretary of Commerce provides specific evidence to the relevant committees of Congress regarding the removal of designation under the section of the act. And so that's basically just detailing when they designate somebody as a foreign adversary, what do they have to do? If you recall from before, foreign individuals can now also be U.S. citizens. Jimmy Dore had that famous thing in his old intro where he said, or it was actually Cotton McDave Smith, I'm sorry, in Part of the Problem in his intro says, everything they do, if you want to find out, it was Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore was like, everything they do to the foreign adversaries is what they will use against you. And that was in the Jimmy Dore, his old intro before Matt changed it. Famous video editor. Continuing on. So whatever they do for TikTok, they will look to do to you. Once designated, the bill grants authority to enforce any action deemed necessary to mitigate the threat. This is what we talked about before. No due process, few limits on punishment. Lists of foreign persons. The Secretary may create lists of foreign persons that may be subject to prohibitions or restrictions and related mechanisms to revise and update such lists periodically. Additional authority, the Secretary may undertake any other action as necessary to carry out the responsibilities. What does it mean, any other action? What's the limit on that? These people are making it sound like it's as simple as TikTok. TikTok is, to my knowledge, not one. I did a quick word search in here. TikTok's not mentioned in here. So in the bill, in this Restrict Act. And you notice the headline in Google from The Guardian, it said it may restrict TikTok. They can't say that for sure because TikTok's not specifically in the bill. All you needed was a bill to ban TikTok, and the underlying reason, they went a few steps further than that. I'm going to stop there for a second and go to, there was another great Twitter thread with excellent perspective on this. And the perspective that they provided was, hey, sometimes they ban an app. Well, can you use a VPN to get around it? It doesn't look like it to me. In fact, it looks like if you try to use a VPN to get around it, that you could get squashed. And I'm gonna pull that up here in a second. As you can see, Facebook, Google, these other social media companies, they have no problem with it. Why? Because it's not affecting them at all. We saw straight up, Facebook did the censorship bidding. I'm just using Facebook as an example. We all know it's Twitter, all of them. Facebook did the bidding of the government in censorship. From when it came from Donald Trump to the pandemic, whatever they needed to do on that big level, they did it. The government sometimes used these third-party companies to get it done, but they did it. They did the Facebook and them, they did the censorship. So now what would the government do in return? The government in return would naturally go ahead and take care of TikTok as the easy competition. TikTok is beating the ass of these American companies. I don't know what it is. I'm not a coder. I don't know why their algorithm is so much better, but their algorithm is just light years ahead. Google is Alphabet is one of the most disappointing companies in American history. For them to have so much money and so much power, they failed with Google Glass. They had augmented reality before it came big. Imagine if they had never failed with Google Glass, where they would be. They didn't do autonomy with vehicles and Waymo. They didn't do that properly. They wasted billions of dollars on that. And this is no different. The AI, Microsoft now teamed up with OpenAI. They're ahead. Microsoft Bing search engine is going to be better at this point than even it's going to be better than even Google. There's no excuse. Google was way ahead. No excuse for them to be behind in AI. They're an embarrassing company. YouTube, I don't know if it's on purpose or not. YouTube is not nearly where it should be. The community section is a joke. It should be as good as Patreon. Why would you need to go to Patreon if YouTube has a community section? This company, Alphabet, is an absolute joke. And it's coming to a head. This is a side rant, kind of. It's coming to a head. They had a meeting. I was reading the article. They had a meeting, and they got chewed out by their own employees for, like, why are we behind on AI? Because they launched their AI that's called, what's their AI called? I forgot what it's called. Chud or some stupid ass name like that. It was so bad they had to recall it. So my point is, look at YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is nothing but TikToks, basically. Everybody goes to TikTok, uploads their shorts, then they put it on YouTube as well. I mean, up their video, and then they put it on YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is a joke compared to TikTok. So obviously, Alphabet would be happy to get rid of their competition. Not only that, look at what I think their next move is. I don't have proof of this, but this is my opinion. Let me get the sun's kind of getting in my face, so let me get out of the way here. In reply to TikTok, our government and big tech, in my opinion, are corrupted by China. They do not care about data going to China. Don't let them fool you. That's the hook, line, and sinker to get MAGA Republicans on board with a destructive act. Very similar to, in my opinion, how do you get MAGA Republicans back on board with Twitter? Elon Musk says, I got to release some of these files. I know when to release them, allegedly. I know when to release them to have minimum impact, and they will trust me, and we get them back in the fold. That is alleged. And then look at this with this. I don't think they care about China. They don't care about data going to China. They want a monopoly over it, in fact. I think they want a monopoly. What Facebook and Google and Alphabet want is they want a monopoly over the data, get TikTok out the way because TikTok is just destroying them all. Facebook Meta loves it because the next best platform other than TikTok is probably Meta Reels. So Meta Reels would be the number one app. They would collect the same data China's getting, and they can sell it to China, in my opinion. Here's some this is a headline. Facebook gave data access to Chinese firm flagged by U.S. intelligence. That was from 2018. I believe that was New York Times. This is from Gizmodo. Gizmodo found proof that the company, Facebook, Meta now, found proof that the company spent the last 2 years quietly engineering backdoors into its ad platform to give Chinese companies seemingly the same tracking and targeting abilities we've come to know and loathe here in the States. They don't do that for free. They don't care about the data going to China. They just care about getting the Chinese app out the way. What does China care about? China's like, we own the U.S. We're not worried about that. We just don't want to have to pay these companies. We just want to be able to get the data on our own. That's what I think is happening here. So I'm going to go to another take on this. I just have to find it. Obviously, I don't have the link, but let me find it real quick. This was another thread on this whole battle here. While I do that, let me actually go over to this since I have this ready. This is on the same topic. This is news today. You might have heard. Got a lot of Lotus Eaters fans on here. Shout out to Casual Goats. He put me on to the Lotus Eaters. Sargon of Akkad and the Lotus Eater channels unfortunately got bad news. YouTube has demonetized the Lotus Eaters podcast. Found that out this morning.
YouTube have chosen to demonetize this channel. This came as a bolt from the blue to us at lotuseaters.com because we are very well versed in YouTube's monetization rules and were, in fact, told by YouTube that our monetization self-assessment was so good it was being used as an example of how self-assessment should work. We are in good standing, we have no strikes, and we work hard to maintain ourselves within the terms of service. We take them very seriously. When YouTube announced that they would be demonetizing videos for swearing, for example, it didn't faze us, as we don't swear on this channel. The reason given for our demonetization was, quote, "A channel associated with your account was flagged for serious violations of our YouTube monetization policies. It seems they are not penalizing us for our content or practices. They have decided that a non-Lotus Eaters YouTube account has been flagged. Then that means that this YouTube account is also guilty. We appealed the decision, but of course, YouTube simply replied by saying, 'You're welcome to make any changes to your content before reapplying for the YouTube Partner Program.' Which is not terribly helpful, given how the issue wasn't with our content, but with our associations. I have no idea what changes we're supposed to make, and YouTube doesn't provide any specific guidance. This amounts to YouTube telling us simply that we're bad people and unworthy of being allowed to earn money by driving traffic to their website, and no amount of changing yourself is worthy of consideration or respect. I want to make it clear, this is not a personal YouTube account. I do not own it, I do not operate it, and the money from it does not go to me. Legally, it is not associated with any previous YouTube accounts, and is instead owned by a registered corporation with all the responsibilities that go along with that status. Moreover, it's disappointing, given how much I have personally worked to improve myself, my conduct, and my content in the last 4 years, and how YouTube seems not to care about that effort at all. But of course, the root of this issue is political. Much as the same as the demonetization of Steven Crowder and other conservatives, YouTube's policy only cuts in one direction. Naturally, losing advertising revenue from YouTube isn't pleasant, and we will look into alternative sources of revenue to supplement the shortfall. However, we did expect this sword of Damocles would eventually fall because of the political environment in which we operate, and thankfully, I am confident we will survive. I can't tell you how much the team and I appreciate your support. And if you would like to begin supporting us, you can sign up at lotuseaters.com and get access to our ever-growing library of premium content for only £5 a month. Or check out the merch store, which will be linked in the description. The whole team works incredibly hard to put their expertise into our content so you can learn about a range of subjects and be entertained at the same time. The grand purpose of our project is to articulate the positive conservative case for our traditional civilizations. We are working hard to outline this worldview and justify it, and so far, I think we're doing a pretty good job. Thanks for everything, folks. We will keep working hard, more to come, and stay tuned as we've got something big in the pipeline.
That was the announcement from the Lotus Eaters. I didn't even say happy Monday morning. Thank you, Nathaniel Erskine. I wanted to come in hot, and I never know how much time I have, so I try to get through stuff. Good morning. Thanks for stopping by. This is the news here. The British accent just makes everything sound more official to me, doesn't it? Or maybe that's just me. But that's the news. Breaking, from this morning, news that they have been demonetized. This is not a surprise to me. We've talked about this. This was coming. We kind of knew this was going to come.
YouTube have chosen to demonetize.
This came, I brought it up with the topic of the new CEO of YouTube, Neil Mohan. And Neil Mohan is on a board of a council that deals with foreign issues. And sorry, and thanks for stopping by. Got a super chat, $10. And I'll go get back to that. It took forever. It took YouTube 25 minutes to show you were live compared to Twitter showing so. Thank you very much on your reporting on the Restrict Act. I will spread the word. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm not sure about the notifications. I'll be honest with you, I'm very bad on the marketing part of stuff, and I got to get better. So I really need to talk with people like Broken Traditions and others who are kind of more natural, better marketers. I need to spend some time building on that, but I appreciate you so much. The super chat means a lot. And spreading the word means a lot as well. So you look at it, the CEO of YouTube is on a member, not on the board, but a member of this group that deals with foreign issues. And the group that deals with foreign issues, they aren't on the same page as a podcast like the Lotus Eaters. The Lotus Eaters podcast cracks through the algorithm and reaches people, a lot of people, because they use humor. They're very well resourced and very intelligent. That makes them very dangerous. And you can see that's where you would start. And what you'd start with is saying they don't get whatever boosted in the algorithm. Maybe their notifications or something funny business happens with that. Oh, I still can't stop them because there's people looking for them. Well, let's hit them in their money, in their wallet. Now you're demonetized. Everything. What he's saying is every video is demonetized. What happens with my channel, many other people's channel, is you upload a video, typically, especially if it is over the 8-minute mark, it is automatically demonetized. If you have anything in there, if you say the word Alex, at least for me, I don't know about these larger creators, but if you say the word Alex Jones, you say the word terrorism, you say anything like that, no context, algorithm, trigger, instant demonetization. Any type of song, even Donald Trump, Joe Biden at times will be enough. And it will be demonetized. You will you upload the video. Let me just, if you don't know how it works, you upload the video and you have to self-identify. That's what he was talking about here in the beginning of his statement.
Monetize this channel. This came as a bolt from the blue to us at lotus.com because we are very well versed in YouTube's monetization rules and were, in fact, told by YouTube that our monetization self-assessment was so good, it was being used as an example of how self-assessment should work.
That's what he was talking about, is his self-assessment was good, meaning if he uploaded a video and knew it wasn't going to get monetized, he didn't say it would get monetized. I don't even know how to do it. To me, I have to say every video should be monetized. I have no idea. And because probably about 80 to 90% of the ones that I say, hey, double check it, I think it should be monetized. Like the last one I did about Arizona and Kerry Lake, even though I used the word tickets, didn't use the word ballot. I don't know what triggered it. Maybe it was run back. I don't know. It was demonetized for days. I said it should be monetized. It took them 3-4 days, and then they said, yes, you're right, it should be monetized. That whole time, you don't make any money from it. And there's no way to get it to be monetized without a wrong self-assessment at first. His podcast is bigger, so maybe he has direct people that he's going to. My point of this is to say they have full control over it, so they play with the algorithm. They don't tell you what's happening with the algorithm. Then they demonetize your channel, and then they can just... If demonetizing Lotus Eaters doesn't work, the next step is just to wipe the channel. And that is happening to some people out there. The whole channel just gets wiped. Notice Lotus Eaters had no strikes. They were very good on the demonetization self-identification process, and then they still got the whole channel wiped. Beware, you're going to see a lot more of this. And this Restrict Act, it goes right along with the Restrict Act. I think the Restrict Act only helps them do that more. And then guess who they're probably going to be able to go after with the Restrict Act? Rumble, Charlie Kirk, War Room. Podcasting, for whatever reason, I don't know why, if you upload something to Apple or Spotify, it doesn't have the same scrutiny. You can easily monetize that way. But on YouTube, Google, all the other platforms other than Rumble, it's not as easy. So I don't know why that is. They're going to try. You've seen some censorship with like Bryson Gray's songs and stuff like that. But as far as like Steve Bannon can say whatever he wants. Charlie Kirk say basically whatever they want on Apple, on those podcast apps, and they're monetized. It's no problem. Anybody, even I don't have to worry too much about censorship on those. But on YouTube, you do. So with this Restrict Act, my interpretation is that it could go after that. I'd be very interested. I'm doing something now. I can't listen to Charlie Kirk today. I'd be very interested as we get closer to closer. It looks like this bill is going to pass. it looks like this thing's going to pass. And I just don't understand. I just don't understand why there isn't more pushback. So we'll see if I'm missing something. You know, these bills are very difficult to analyze, but we'll see if I'm missing anything on that. Let me go through and show you. Cyan says, that's YouTube's standard operating procedure since 2015. They demonetize to punish you while allowing ads and pocketing the money for themselves. That's another thing. Yes, thank you. They did the same thing. They did that to Nico House on the populist left. I was furious about what they did with Convoke House, Nico House. I don't think it's every video, but I did some testing myself too, and Nico House did some testing. He saw that they got demonetized. I think they got I forgot if they got remonetized or not. It's hard to keep up with this stuff. But when they were demonetized, they found videos where there were still ads being played. That is a form of soft censorship. If you're demonetized, your videos won't get as many views. If you're monetized, it will typically, in a vacuum, it would get more views. So I replied underneath, the Lotus Eaters tweeted that, and I replied underneath on it. Neil Mohan, I already did a video on this. I'm not going to go too much in depth, but this is from February. I was like, the new CEO is on this board, and brace yourself for anti-1A censorship. And that's what we're going to see. It's on this board that deals with foreign issues. It's an anti-MAGA who's who in the industry of anti-MAGA people. So that's what we're going to see. And the Restrict Act does nothing for that. I do agree with, believe it or not, AOC came out with a video on the Restrict Act. And I did agree with the video, but she still didn't come to the right spot. Let me go over to that before, and this will be the final take on the Restrict Act. Basically, it's the Digital Patriot Act. It's very similar to the Patriot Act, but from the digital standpoint. And I'm going to go to AOC had a video where I actually agreed with her on it. I'm queuing that up right now. Then we're going to go into maybe Jonathan Majors. We'll see. We'll go into some Trump stuff, some more lighthearted stuff. Some funny stuff with Trump came up today. There's a video that is one of the best examples of self-ownage from the liberals that you'll ever see in your life. It's so funny. But here's the breaking. I keep saying breaking news. Not breaking. It's from today. But here's the news. AOC, she's on TikTok. She's never been on TikTok. Why? She's been on Instagram. Instagram is more of her style. And she's on TikTok. Here she go. Here's AOC.
Hey everyone, this is Rep AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and this is my first TikTok. Now, this is not only my first TikTok, but it is a TikTok about TikTok. Now, this week, the CEO of TikTok came and testified before Congress as there is growing rumblings and discussion over a nationwide ban on the app. Do I believe TikTok should be banned? No. Why should TikTok not be banned? First of all, I think it's important to discuss how unprecedented of a move this would be. The United States has never before banned a social media company from existence, from operating in our borders. And this is an app that has over 150 million Americans on it. Some of the arguments about banning TikTok have come in with respect to discussions around Chinese surveillance and utilization of data that is tracked and the enormous amount of tracking on US citizens and data that is harvested by TikTok. And they say because of this egregious amount of data harvesting, we should ban this app. However, that doesn't really address the core of the issue, which is the fact that major social media companies are allowed to collect troves of deeply personal data about you that you don't know about without really any significant regulation whatsoever. In fact, the United States is one of the only developed nations in the world that has no significant data or privacy protection laws on the books. The EU, for example, has something known as the GDPR, which really forces an enormous amount of protection on individual users and the amount of data that companies can collect about you without your knowledge. So to me, the solution here is not to ban an individual company, but to actually protect Americans from this kind of egregious data harvesting that companies can do without your significant ability to say no. And usually when the United States is proposing a very major move that has something to do with significant risk to national security, one of the first things that happens is that Congress receives a classified briefing. And I can tell you that Congress has not received a classified briefing around the allegations of national security risks regarding TikTok. So why would we be proposing a ban regarding such a significant issue without being clued in on this at all? It just doesn't feel right to me. And additionally, this case needs to be made to the public. We are a government by the people and for the people. And if we want to make a decision as significant as banning TikTok, and we believe, or someone believes, that there's really important information that the public deserves to know about why such a decision would be justified, that information should be shared with the public as well. But frankly, I think a lot of this is putting the cart before the horse, because our first priority should be in protecting your ability to exist without social media companies harvesting and commodifying every single piece of data about you and without your consent.
Okay, so I agree with a lot of what she said. Maybe not 100%, but enough to, we don't need to worry about the parts where we don't agree. So a large part I agree with her. So then my response to that is, if she's really about that life, then she should support this. This is a statement from Grandpappy. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens. I will then ban
Let's stop there. Let's stop there. I've played this video before, but let's kind of analyze this. Which part of that would AOC disagree with? Of course, we've got rhetoric that she wouldn't agree with, that it's all coming from the left. I don't care if you agree with that or not. Which part of Donald Trump's proposal do you actually disagree with? This is his first piece here.
And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal.
And I don't want executive orders. Let's just pretend this is because he obviously can't do legislation, but let's pretend this is legislation.
Department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens. I will then ban federal.
If the speech is lawful, then it should not be banned. And I think that should include, like, if you have a platform and you have a monetization on the platform, just arbitrary demonetizing channels should fall against a law like this, because that is, you're trying to suppress free speech. They didn't even break your own, even though your rules are unconstitutional to me, they didn't even break your own rules, and they're demonetized. If a company doesn't want to advertise on Lotus Eaters, they don't have to.
Federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis or disinformation. and I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are. Second, I will order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship. Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination. We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation and promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic
After this done, I might do Section 230. I might do a funny topic on Trump first, but that Section 230 that he talked about, I've been thinking about Section 230, and I've talked about it before, but I'm going to talk about it again. It's worth mentioning, because instead of going at stuff like that, that's what I wanted MAGA to address first, was free speech. Everything Trump's talking about here, free speech, Section 230, not TikTok. Believe it or not, the concerns about the CCP are legit. But I want to first address that, our rights first under the First Amendment. Let's handle that first. It's the First Amendment. What's up, Steve Johnson? Thanks for stopping by. Middle MAGA miscreants. Okay, I like this. I like the ring of that. Steve Johnson got the marketing, got the ring to it. I'm gonna have to remember that one. Let me take a screenshot. Obviously, I gotta give you credit. I gotta think about that. That's a good one, man. I appreciate you stopping by as always. The mic's a little different. It'll probably be different till Wednesday. Thanks for bearing with the different audio.
Censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis- and disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs that support this authoritarian project. If any U.S. university is discovered to have engaged in censorship activities or election interferences in the past, such as flagging social media content for removal of blacklisting, those universities should lose federal research dollars and federal student loan support for a period of 5 years and maybe more. We should also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution and deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country. Furthermore, to confront the problems of major platforms being infiltrated by legions of former deep staters and intelligence officials, there should be a 7-year cooling off period before any employee of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DNI, DHS, or DOD is allowed to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data.
Now, I don't know if these are the best answers or the ultimate answers, but no one in our country, no politician, has put together a better digital case than. And let me know if I'm missing somebody. I have not heard a case even close to as detailed and as visionary as what Donald Trump just released there.
Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their
Let me bring that back. I don't know if y'all heard me.
Throttled, shadow banned, or
I don't know if y'all heard Trump. This was so based. Let me bring this back one more time. I'm gonna bring it back multiple times. That's how based this part was. Maybe this is the part I need to clip up to make it shorter. This part is so based.
DOD is allowed to take a job. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take allowed
The digital due process.
to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data. Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending.
And we have to address demonetization too, because that's a part of it too. And I'm sorry about Elon. You can't have a tier on social media where you have to pay $8 a month or whatever you have to pay to get your speech amplified. That can't happen either. AOC said the same thing. She would agree with that. Bring it back one more time. He said a digital due process. A digital due process.
User data. Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. The fight for free speech.
Now, he was spitting so much. Steve Johnson and in the chat, Toy Mafia, he's spitting fire here. Here he is again. You should have a right. This is him saying the same thing I've been saying, that the user should have control over the algorithm. That's what would happen with Section 230. If you didn't have Section 230, then the users would have the algorithm. Listen to that. Again, spitting fire right here.
It's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely.
That's the algorithm. Opt out of the algorithm. And it's not a right. That should be the default. If YouTube, Twitter wants to default to them controlling the algorithm, they should lose all immunity under Section 230. If they default to you getting control, which could be an option to say, Twitter, I don't know how to do algorithm stuff. You just control it for me. So they can still have say, but it can't default into they control it for you. That's what he's talking about right here. I haven't heard any other politician bring this up.
Curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
It makes you wonder why they're going after him in New York. It makes you wonder why they're going after him in Fulton County. It makes me wonder why the DOJ is going after him. I believe there's another court. I might be mistaken. I thought there was 4 different. Oh, was there another one in New York? I think Letitia James. 2 in New York, maybe? So many I'm losing track. And he's the only politician I've heard say anything like this. I haven't heard Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Thomas Massey, Matt Gaetz. Not this specific. Makes you wonder, is that the reason why they're going after him? With some bogus BS. Let's look at something a little bit more funny to this one. This made my day, man. This was hilarious. Oh man, I can't wait to talk about this one. So when you're online, you can get into situations where you self-own. Like you look at something, and it's happened to me. I'm not immune to this. But take a look at this. The libs self-owned on this. Jack Posovic highlighted it to me. So I think Jack posted something, and then this brick suit user underneath it showed a picture of Donald Trump. Here's the picture of Donald Trump. Let me show you the picture. This is the picture here. Look at that picture. If you're in the chat, what do you think of the picture? If you didn't, it's a good look. It's a good picture. But if I didn't know the context of what I'm going to talk about here, I would have been like, okay, what's the point? Is Donald Trump getting out of his SUV or whatever? Listen to what some libs looked at this picture at. Look at that. They were triggered by the picture. The libs were triggered by this picture. Why were they triggered by this picture? They thought it was fake. Why did they think it was fake? Because he looked too presidential. I'm not making this up. People thought it was AI. So this user right here said, y'all so weird with these heroic edits of him. Imagine if people did this for Hillary, Joe, or Bernie, which they do actually, but it doesn't work because nobody believes it. Giving them amazing bodies and whatever. You creepy cult MFers. They thought the picture was fake. So they self-owned. Listen to how much he self-owned himself. He said giving them amazing bodies? Bruh, you just said you think Donald Trump has an amazing body. Bruh locked down his account. It was such a self-owned, he had to lock down his account. You think he looks sexy, Nancy? Be honest. Be honest, Nancy P. Paul won't care. Paul doing his own thing. We know how Paul rolls. Nancy, go ahead and be honest. You think Trump? You think Grandpappy looks sexy? This lib thought the picture was AI and doctored because the lib, not me, the lib, I just looked at it as a picture. He's just a dude. The lib said his body was amazing. I love libs, man. I don't want to get rid of like Democrats and liberalism. Because I know it is a disease, it's a mental illness, but it's also hilarious. He wasn't the only one. Or he or she, I don't know if it was a he or she. They weren't the only ones. But this is the same person here. My guy, that still photo is edited. So Brick replied and said, it's a real photo. He said, no, that photo is edited. At least it's not as creepy as some of the other edits I see y'all post. So you see what's happening here. What's happening here is Jack Posovic has been posting satire. He's been testing the line with Elon and what they're able to, because he's been purposely, like he tweeted something about the sunflower country in Russia, and it was actually the U.S. bombing Iraq. And there was context tweets under it, but he was being sarcastic. And then we've seen all these AI pictures come up with Trump in handcuffs, not just Trump in handcuffs, but Trump, looking with weapons in his hand and stuff like that, which are not obvious because it's hard to tell, this AI. So libs, you created this world. You have taken us to a postmodern world, but some of these libs don't understand It affects them as well. You will be in the world as well. What I mean by that is you don't know what's true anymore. You're going to have men that use makeup, lights, dress, heels, whatever, that look like women. And you won't even know. You won't even be able to do an Adam's apple test just because they got surgery or whatever else. They're just so good. Or they're using AI. So you literally don't know, am I chatting with a man or a woman? An attractive woman at that. You have no idea. So on top of, so that's the postmodern society. With these AI pictures, part of it will be, I don't know if these pictures are real or not. So my guy right here saw this picture of Trump, and he thought Trump looked like he in his words, Trump had an amazing body. Where's the picture from? It's from the Associated Press. You can click the link, go to the website. I checked it out myself. It's a photo from the photo was just too good. Have you ever had like a situation where you're taking pictures and it's like a bad angle? I think women are masters of this, especially on social media. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, I don't, discriminate based on size or whatever. You can be big and beautiful, but you'll have bigger women who take these photos from a certain angle and you think they look like so-and-so, but they look like something else. And that might be it's a good picture. It might be a good angle or something like that because, Trump doesn't look like that in every picture. But I think part of it, too, is the libs. They know Brandon is a joke. They haven't seen anybody even when Brandon tries to look presidential, you don't think of him as presidential. He is my president and God, YouTube. I'm not questioning that. Here's the video. If you don't believe it is real, here it is. Even the video you can't trust, but I think it's real. Just listening, that's Trump getting out the SUV. And it matters. Oh, here's the other thing. The other thing, he's going up the stairs and he's not tripping and nobody's even worried about him tripping. Like, it's not even a concern. Trump's getting out the SUV. Can turn that sound down because it's just the airplane. Trump's getting out the SUV. He's like, I'm the boss. He looks president. That matters. I don't know if everybody realizes that matters. If you look like a president or not. If you look like a president, it matters. I'm sorry, no disrespect and no discrimination, but you're not going to really have a little person as a president, right? Is that fair to say? And I'm trying to not use the word midget because I know that is offensive, and I'm not even trying to be offensive. It ain't happening. Okay? It's just not going to happen. You can do a lot of things, have a great life, nothing like that. We're not having a midget president. It's just not. You're not going to have a midget lion leading what's a group of lions called? A herd or a den? I don't know what they're called. A pride, sorry. You're not going to have a baby lion or a midget lion leading your pride. The one that looks big, that looks strong, looks presidential, matters. And the libs admitted, they're like, damn, Trump looks awfully presidential. They actually admitted it because of the postmodern society with AI. They didn't know. They thought it was doctored. And you've got social media before you have the time to ask the question, which would have been smarter just to say, was that doctored? I do the same thing. Sometimes you tweet too quick instead of you should have asked a question. That's what you should have done. So Trump comes out the SUV. He comes out the SUV, according to at least some libs, looked like a boss. Coming out, looking, they did little handcuffs, look like a kind of older James Bond type vibe. 007 type vibe. Give him his credit. And then he got the hands out, then he did a little thumb. That's what they're mad about. They're mad about, I have to hate him because that's my religion or that's my belief now. But he actually looked presidential. And deep down inside, they miss that. People want leadership. So what they know is that their guy looks like this. Be extra careful at
Not even 4 hours ago.
That was a quick.
Why is he tripping going up the stairs? If it just happened once, it'd be no big deal. Everybody trips, falls, and stuff like this is the 5th time he's tripped going up the stairs. The first time, remember, he tripped. I think that was 3 trips in one. Every single time he tries to look careful going up, he trips. Just damn embarrassing at this point. Trips for the whole country, not just him. Forget about him. This is one of the most embarrassing moments for the United States of America. We have a president that just can't walk up the stairs. Bro, you can go slower. But then after he trips, he does the jog. So watch him break into a jog after he tripped for the 5th time that I've seen walking up the stairs. So he trips and then he tries. The jog makes me laugh every time. So that's what they really triggered about, man. I mean, there was other comments too. In the thread, this is the right to bear memes. What a great memester. This image is clearly photoshopped. Delete this. These are the people who want power to do that kind of stuff. This person said, no, he weighs about 60 pounds more. It's been manipulated. They still think it's manipulated. It's right here. There's a link in everything. These people are hilarious. Then replies again, I don't know if this person, is he a troller or? Maybe he's trolling. No. Okay, maybe he's trolling. This one might be a troller. I don't know, but it's funny. Based Duck said, the rest of us normal people look at it and go, oh, Trump lost a few pounds. I don't know if he lost a few pounds. I just think it was a good angle, to be honest with you. But I think he did lose a little bit, but he didn't lose 60 pounds. The rest of us think that, oh, he lost weight and went on with his day. Meanwhile, you get sand in your vagina over it. I love that line. Sand in your vagina. Kind of fun to watch. Please continue. That's my thought exactly. These people are hilarious. Then I said, I'll be stealing sand in your vagina. Don't worry about that. I'm going to eject, and I might be starting a live right back. I got to take a phone call, but these people are hilarious.